One morning, Jessica Harper, a woman of simple tastes, experienced a deeply embarrassing incident at Atlantic National Bank. Her bag was emptied, coffee spilled onto her shirt, and she was pushed towards the exit, ridiculed for her sweatpants and treated with derision as if she were out of place. The lobby was filled with hushed whispers and scornful looks as she stood there, feeling frozen and utterly ashamed. However, the atmosphere abruptly shifted as her billionaire husband arrived. With a single, understated instruction, derision transformed into remorse, laughter into apprehension, and pride into complete astonishment. The bank presented a facade of smooth marble counters and subdued conversations, an environment where affluence seemed to permeate every gleaming surface. Jessica entered, dressed in gray sweatpants and a simple white t-shirt, her auburn hair pulled back in a relaxed ponytail. She possessed a striking beauty, with soft green eyes and a graceful demeanor, though her unassuming attire concealed it from view. Ethan stood nearby, dressed sharply in a tailored charcoal suit, projecting a sense of quiet confidence. They had come to open an account for the Harper Foundation, Jessica's nonprofit organization that invests millions in children's education, beginning with a substantial deposit for a new scholarship program. Ethan's phone vibrated. It was a call from abroad that he was obligated to answer. Consequently, he stepped outside, allowing Jessica to approach the counter by herself. She held a folder containing the necessary documents and offered a warm smile as she greeted the teller. Before the young clerk could reply, Vanessa Brooks, the branch manager, intervened. Vanessa, who was tall and appeared stern, with blonde hair neatly pulled back and a suit that conveyed authority, observed Jessica's clothing and paused. Her eyes narrowed, and her lips formed a thin, skeptical line. "Can I help you?" she inquired, her voice cold, as if Jessica had entered the incorrect location. Jessica maintained a calm tone. "I would like to open an account and make a deposit for the Harper Foundation." She pushed the folder across the counter, but Vanessa didn't acknowledge it. Instead, she bent over the counter, her eyes examining Jessica's sweatpants with disapproval. "And where did this money originate?" she demanded, her voice sharp enough to attract attention. "We represent a respected organization. Our clientele maintain a particular expectation. I require more than your assurance to confirm this isn't questionable." Jessica's face reddened, but she didn't object, simply opened the folder, indicating the documents. Vanessa didn't simply question her. She leaned across the counter, took Jessica's tote from her shoulder, and spilled its contents onto the floor. A phone, a wallet, keys, they scattered like refuse. "Let's see what you're truly carrying," she said, sneering, and kicked Jessica's wallet beneath a chair. Marcus clapped. "Bet it's stolen. Look at her clothes." Ryan reacted, whispering, "That's excessive." But Vanessa retorted, "Quiet, child. This is my performance." Jessica bent to collect her belongings, her hands shaking. Despite her distress, she remained composed, picking up her things as the crowd watched, their quietude feeling like a painful twist. Vanessa intervened. She grabbed the folder, examining its contents with a showy doubt, then threw it back onto the counter with a dismissive noise. "This could be fabricated, as far as I know," she stated, her voice growing louder. "People like you don't simply walk in with foundation money. What's your game?" Several clients waiting in the queue seemed restless, their gazes moving between Jessica and Vanessa. A man wearing a pinstripe suit quietly remarked to his wife, "She doesn't appear to fit in." Jessica's grip on the folder grew tighter, but she maintained her composure. "This is genuine. My husband and I—" Vanessa interrupted, advancing, her finger pointing just an inch from Jessica's face. "Don't offer me explanations." She spoke sharply. "I've seen your type, looking like you just woke up, thinking you can defraud a bank like this. I ought to summon security immediately." The room fell silent, many heads turning. A teller, Ryan, visibly flinched behind the counter, but remained silent. Jessica felt her heart race. She disliked confrontations, but she didn't react, maintaining her composure as a silent defense. The discomfort continued. Vanessa signaled a security guard, Marcus, a large man, who approached with a concerned expression. "Watch her," she ordered, her voice loud and sharp. I don't trust this one. She's likely here to do something dishonest. Marcus crossed his arms, standing over Jessica, as Vanessa smirked. What's in that bag? She demanded, pointing at Jessica's plain canvas tote. Open it, let's see what you're hiding. Jessica's voice trembled slightly, but she remained composed. Just my phone and wallet, she replied, unzipping it to show them. Marcus escalated the situation, taking a cup of coffee from the counter and inadvertently spilling it down Jessica's shirt. The hot liquid soaked her white t-shirt and dripped onto her sweatpants. Oops, thought you needed a wake-up call, he remarked, smirking as Vanessa laughed. Now she looks the part, wet trash. The pinstripe guy chuckled, saying perfect upgrade for a beggar, while the fur coat woman snapped a photo, giggling this'll go viral, scammer gets soaked. Jessica remained there, soaked and with stinging skin, her demeanor a sharp difference from their hostility. Yet the crowd's laughter continued. Vanessa scoffed, a likely story, as Marcus searched, retrieving her keys and throwing them onto the counter as if presenting evidence. A woman in a fur coat close by chuckled, murmuring to her companion, she looks as if she's requesting money, not making a deposit. Vanessa proceeded with her remarks. She took Jessica's folder once more, this time tearing a page from the Foundation's proposal in two and throwing it to the floor. This is worthless, likely printed from a deceptive website, she exclaimed, her voice resonating as Marcus encouraged. Yeah, destroy it all. She's a fraud. The man in a pinstripe suit gave a knowing smile. She should have remained where she came from. A young teller named Lisa averted her gaze, feeling embarrassed but not speaking. Jessica reached down to gather the damaged paper, her hands trembling. She remained silent, simply returning the document to its folder, her composure highlighting the harshness of their actions. The man in the pinstripe suit nodded, a mocking laugh escaping his lips, suggesting she was deceiving them. Jessica briefly closed her eyes, focusing on maintaining her composure. She didn't require their approval. She led a foundation that positively impacted lives, yet their criticism felt sharp. She had encountered this type of assessment previously, people evaluating her based on her appearance, but never with such intensity, never so openly. Her fingers brushed the folder, clinging to the truth inside as Vanessa's finger jabbed closer, grazing her cheek. You're wasting our time. Get out before I have you escorted. As Vanessa's finger grazed her cheek, Grace stepped in closer, shoving Jessica's shoulder hard enough to make her stumble, her sneakers slipping on the wet floor from the coffee spill. Move it, con artist, out of here, he growled, while Vanessa screeched, get her gone before she stains the place. The woman wearing a fur coat applauded, saying, finally, clear out the undesirables. And the man in pinstripes threw a crumpled receipt at her, shouting, take your rubbish and leave. Jessica regained her composure, coffee spilling, paper scattering. However, she remained firm, her silence a challenge they were unable to subdue. At that moment, Ethan re-entered the room. The call concluded, concerning a business matter in Singapore, and he paused, his gaze fixed on the unfolding situation. Vanessa's finger was near Jessica's face. Marcus was nearby, and onlookers were observing. His jaw became rigid, but his voice, calm and authoritative, resonated. You are addressing my wife. The entire bank fell silent. Ethan's voice didn't merely quiet the room. It resonated like a sudden, powerful sound, halting Vanessa in the middle of an expression, her fingers still suspended in the air, as if illuminated by a focused beam of light. The murmur of the crowd ceased abruptly, giving way to a collective intake of breath that seemed to drain the air. Vanessa's strong arms fell limp, as if they had lost their function, and the man in the pinstripe suit's mouth dropped open, his tie appearing like a rope around his confident throat. Jessica's green eyes briefly met Ethan's, a hint of reassurance visible beneath her composed expression. And the bank felt constricted, as every head turned towards the man in a suit who had just overturned their reality with 5 straightforward words. Vanessa's finger fell, her face paling. Ethan did not hurry. He walked, each step a measured rhythm that resonated off the marble, his suit slicing through the disarray like a blade through paper. Jessica breathed out, her shoulders relaxing for the first time since Vanessa's finger brushed her cheek. The coffee stain on her shirt, now a symbol of perseverance as Ethan's presence enveloped her like armor. The woman in the fur coat dropped her phone. It fell to the floor with a clatter, effectively ending her chance for a viral photo moment. Ryan's eyes widened behind the counter, a smile playing on his lips. He anticipated this, and it arrived, a spectacle impossible to overlook. Marcus retreated, his hands relaxing. A palpable tension filled the space as Ethan arrived beside Jessica, his hand lightly touching her arm, a silent assertion that resonated more powerfully than any proclamation. This moment dissolved the room's self-satisfied atmosphere, leaving Vanessa's scorn devoid of impact and Marcus's confidence diminished. The man in the pinstripe suit recoiled, his wrinkled receipt still visible where Jessica had been, now symbolizing his flawed assessment, while the woman with the fur coat's laughter faded into a stifled cough, her fur seeming to envelop her in shame. Ethan's hazel eyes focused on Vanessa, conveying a sense of impending confrontation, and the audience perceived it. The situation shifted. The woman who had been the target of ridicule now commanded attention, poised to dispel every unkind remark. The man in the pinstripe suit's laughter ceased abruptly, and the woman wearing fur momentarily paused, her amusement cut short. Ethan approached Jessica, his suit impeccable, his stance radiating quiet intensity. "What's going on here?" he inquired, having witnessed enough. Jessica gently touched his arm, her gesture reassuring yet resolute. "It's okay, Ethan. I was simply attempting to open the account." Vanessa hesitated, speaking with a slight tremor. I was unaware." Ethan's gaze sharpened, interrupting her. "What did you not realize? That she is my wife, or that she is more valuable than your entire branch?" A palpable tension filled the room, as murmurs spread as people understood the situation. Ethan Harper wasn't merely wealthy. He was a billionaire investor, a dominant figure with over $300 million held at Atlantic National, his name frequently appearing in financial news. Vanessa's confidence faltered, her hands moving nervously with her blazer. "Sir, I was simply being careful." Ethan shook his head, his voice firm but pointed. "Careful? You publicly accused her of fraud because she wasn't wearing a designer dress. That isn't carefulness. That's presumption." Jessica moved forward, her green eyes bright, her tone composed. "It's not about my being his wife. It's about you treating me as if I don't fit in because of my appearance. That's the issue here, not my account." The audience moved, some agreeing, others avoiding eye contact, acknowledging the reality of the situation. Marcus retreated to his position, lowering his head, as Ryan, the teller, quietly said, "I tried to warn her." The man in the pinstripe suit straightened his tie, falling silent, while the woman with the fur coat gripped her handbag, her enjoyment vanished. Ethan's eyes scanned the room, focusing on Vanessa. "You embarrassed her without justification. She's here to make a deposit that will assist children who would never otherwise be in a place like this. Children you would likely criticize as well." Jessica affirmed, stating the Harper Foundation isn't about appearances, it's about people. She added, "You didn't even ask." The glass doors opened, and a man in a gray suit hurried in. William Carter, the bank president, appeared, his face etched with worry. Ethan had likely contacted him, probably Ryan, and he'd left a meeting uptown. "Mr. Harper?" "Mrs. Harper," he said, breathless. "I'm so sorry, I just heard. Please, let's talk privately." He gave Vanessa a look that seemed intense, then indicated a side office. People stepped aside, their expressions showing surprise as Ethan and Jessica entered. Her sweatpants a noticeable difference from the bank's polished surfaces, yet her poise exceeding it. Inside the office, William closed the door, his hands joined, stating, "This is unacceptable. I am truly sorry. What actions can be taken?" Jessica took a seat, a folder resting on her lap, her voice steady and resolute. "I am not seeking compensation for myself. However, this must never occur again, not to any individual. Instruct your employees to look beyond outward appearances. Establish a policy of respect for every individual entering the premises regardless of attire, and collaborate with my foundation to provide underprivileged students with access to accounts and financial literacy opportunities." Ethan leaned forward, stating, "You've been entrusted with $300 million of my funds. Ensure its proper use or I will relocate it." Vanessa attempted to retract her statement, her voice trembling as Ethan looked at her intently. Mr. Harper, I didn't intend that. I have financial obligations, I have a child. She pleaded, her blonde hair escaping its tight bun in her panic. Jessica looked at her, coffee still staining her shirt, and said coolly, you meant every word. You judged me without asking. Ethan stepped in, towering, she's right, you're finished here. Cry all you want, your career is over. William nodded from the doorway, suspension is just the beginning. A full review will be completed by tomorrow. Vanessa crumpled. Her smugness vanished as the crowd watched her fall, their earlier jeers now a bitter echo. William quickly nodded, taking notes, affirming, done, everything. I'll oversee this personally. He hesitated, then announced, Vanessa is suspended, effective immediately, pending review. This isn't representative of our values. Jessica inclined her head, considering that's good, but don't just issue penalties. Address the underlying issues. People are capable of change. Marcus faced his own accountability. William summoned him after Ethan and Jessica departed, his face flushed with embarrassment. I wasn't aware of her identity. He pleaded, please, I need this job. His large build seemed to diminish under the president's gaze. William spoke with cold authority. You pushed her, causing her to spill coffee. You're fortunate it's only a suspension, another infraction, and you're terminated. The pinstripe man and the woman in the fur coat retreated, their laughter fading into hushed discussions about Marcus's potential demise, the part they played in the situation clearly troubling them. Jessica's subtle triumph lingered in the atmosphere, a harsh truth they would have to accept, and the audience had reason to celebrate her ascent over their failure. Ethan grasped her hand, displaying his pride, as William assured them updates would be provided by the end of the week. The agreement was finalized, achieved through encouragement rather than intimidation. As they prepared to depart, Jessica glanced back, her gaze meeting Vanessa's through the window. Vanessa remained present, visibly anxious near the counter. One more thing, Jessica said quietly. We're offering a parent workshop next month for families with children experiencing difficulties in reading. Vanessa is invited to attend. We sometimes make hasty judgments without understanding the challenges others face. William seemed taken aback, then he nodded. She would be informed. They exited, Ethan's arm around her, the bank now noticeably calmer. The murmurs and giggles had ceased. Jessica's tote bag swayed beside her. Her sweatpants remained the same, yet her aura had altered the atmosphere. Vanessa remained motionless, her suspension a burden she would take with her. The man in the pinstripe suit discreetly left, his head bowed, and the woman with the fur coat refused to make eye contact, her purse offering no protection. William observed their departure, already composing reports, aware that $300 million and a valuable lesson were at stake. The morning sun touched Jessica's face, and she released a breath, feeling the tightness dissipate. Ethan looked at her, his expression gentle. Are you all right? She responded with a nod, a faint smile appearing. Yes, it's not solely about us, it's about their learning process. He kissed her forehead, and they proceeded, leaving the bank behind, which seemed a little less arrogant, a little more relatable. If this narrative evoked a feeling in you, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. She experienced humiliation and was even detained directly within the VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport. Dressed in an old hoodie and worn-out sneakers, she appeared strikingly ordinary amidst a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. This type of passenger doesn't typically travel on a private jet, a security officer stated coldly. She was held, under scrutinizing glances, until the private jet of her billionaire husband arrived. Rosebridge Jet Terminal presented an image of immense wealth, with its polished marble floors reflecting the light of expensive chandeliers, and its tarmac accommodating Gulfstreams and Louis Vuitton suitcases. This exclusive airport, where sapphire membership cards held greater significance than passports, resonated with the presence of tailored Armani suits, Louboutin heels, and the aroma of Tom Ford oud. The VIP lounge, designed as a lavish space of glass and velvet, catered exclusively to a select clientele, with staff in silk vests verifying access via platinum keycards. Past the lounge area, A private runway extended, its entrances secured for the wealthiest individuals. Claire Sutton entered the terminal, wearing a casual gray hoodie, faded sweatpants, and worn sneakers that made a soft sound on the marble flooring. At 30 years old, having grown up in a small, unassuming town, she had independently studied aerospace engineering while working as a mechanic, her life straightforward until she encountered Noah Sutton, the individual responsible for establishing Sutton Aerospace as a worldwide leader. A book and a water bottle were inside the small backpack she carried, her only belongings following a connecting domestic flight. The lounge's stairs seemed to divide her, as if sensing an approaching storm. Claire felt like an imperfection in the terminal's gleaming appearance, her backpack a disruption to the exclusive environment. A security officer, Victor Hayes, moved toward her, his navy uniform immaculate, his badge shining. "This lounge is exclusively for private jet passengers," he stated, his voice drawing attention. A lounge attendant, wearing a $2,000 Gucci blazer, chuckled, bending towards their colleague. They likely gained entry searching for employment. Amusement spread through the lounge, passengers concealing smiles with perfectly shaped hands. Claire remained still, her hazel eyes fixed, her backpack over one shoulder. She had come to meet Noah, the man whose empire she'd secretly assisted in creating. A wave of frustration rippled through the onlookers, their emotions tightening at the dismissive behavior of these officials, their contempt a sharp contrast to Claire's gentle demeanor. The jeering grew louder, a harsh sound led by the terminal's influential members. Vanessa Klein, the lounge manager, stepped forward, her platinum blonde hair flowing over a form-fitting Versace dress, her red lipstick a vivid accent to her cool expression. At 29 years old, having grown up in Miami's affluent circles, she was known for maintaining strict standards of admittance. Claire's hoodie earned a scoff. "We're unable to verify your identity or your reason for being in the high-security zone," the officer stated, her voice crisp and firm. The passengers responded with laughter that reverberated against the glass walls. Vanessa, with a flick of her hair, released a cloud of Chanel perfume, a fragrance Claire knew Noah found unpleasant. Claire's fingers gripped her backpack, her expression composed, while the audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing at this direct challenge, Vanessa's confidence appearing sharp and cold. The criticism intensified, becoming a deliberate and unified attack on Claire's presence. Victor Hayes approached, his badge reflecting light, and indicated a side door. "Your baggage has not cleared VIP screening," he stated, his voice steady but not unkind. "Please proceed to the holding area for those suspected of making false statements." The crowd applauded, their Rolexes catching the light as they gestured for her to leave. A passenger wearing a $6,000 Brioni suit exclaimed, "You don't seem like someone who owns a private jet ticket." Amusement rippled through the group, with passengers bumping shoulders. A receptionist whispered, "She doesn't appear to be a tourist." Another commented, "That hoodie looks like it could be stolen, and she has the nerve to enter here?" The remarks felt like a heavy blow, each word a painful strike against Claire's quietness. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for Claire, deeply upset by this group's persistent harshness. The travelers' disdain became sharp as Claire stood in the VIP lounge, their taunts a deliberate attack intended to undermine her resolve. Several technology leaders in $8,000 Seville Row suits assembled close to the velvet sofas, their words a spiteful blend. "She's a mark on Rosebridge's reputation," one remarked, gesturing with a platinum fountain pen in Claire's direction, highlighting her worn sneakers. Returning to the budget terminal, one individual brandished a black Amex card, exclaiming, "Her backpack appears to be from a flea market." The audience's laughter was loud, employees glancing at each other, their Rolexes reflecting the light. A private equity mogul declared, "She's an insult to every jet parked here." The jeers felt like a severe judgment, each word a sharp blow against Claire's composed demeanor. Noah's jet was visible on the tarmac beyond the glass, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing, indignant at this planned injustice, their fury intense and ready to challenge the elite's pride. The staff's involvement aggravated the situation, their actions a new disappointment. A receptionist, Clara Holt, wearing a tailored blazer, approached, her voice laced with disdain. "Miss, the general terminal is that way," she stated, gesturing towards a concealed door, her smirk reflected by surrounding passengers. "We don't allow such guests in the VIP lounge," she added, which drew laughter from the group. Clara, 26 years old and raised in New Jersey, took pride in her role as a gatekeeper. The group's approval felt like a powerful current, their arrogance a very public rejection. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes unwavering, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger surged, their hearts racing at this form of institutional rejection, their fury burning against Rosebridge's sanctity. Vanessa Klein's criticism became pointed, a deliberate attempt to embarrass Claire in front of the lounge's most distinguished members. "You're not just out of place, you're a source of embarrassment," she stated, her Versace dress catching the light as she indicated Claire's sweatpants. Sutton Aerospace would not permit such behavior, she insisted, within their facilities. Her companions laughed, the sound punctuated by the clicking of their Mont Blanc pens, their gazes shifting to Claire's backpack. Vanessa remarked, "She's a charity case, not a jet passenger," her voice carrying enough volume to hush the surrounding quiet sounds. The passengers responded with approval, their disapproval feeling overwhelming, their hushed tones filled with discontent. "She's a fake," they muttered. Claire's hazel eyes glowed with contained anger, but her smile remained steady, a defense against the feeling of being let down. The pavement shimmered outside the windows, but the lounge's disapproval felt like a heavy burden. The audience's anger surged, their feelings of sorrow for Claire evident, fueled by the manager's deception revealed. The passengers' resentment reached a high point, their voices a harsh and bitter wave. A technology executive in a $5,000 Canali suit leaned forward, his voice sharp and dismissive. "She's insignificant, likely here seeking a passage," he remarked, pointing at Claire's sweatpants. "Observe that backpack. Did she retrieve it from a refuse container?" His associates chuckled, displaying their platinum cards. A socialite declared, "She's an embarrassment to whoever let her in." Laughter echoed, each insult a dagger aimed at Claire's heart. A woman standing close by with her daughter murmured, "She's likely someone's housekeeper." Her daughter chuckled, adding, "Or a stowaway." The audience's anger surged, their hearts with Claire, their fury a tidal wave against this malicious slander, desperate for the truth to shatter the elite's lies. The lounge staff's disapproval became obvious, their behavior a public embarrassment intended to entertain the other passengers. A senior concierge, Richard Tate, addressed Claire close to the glass reception desk, his silk vest immaculate, his tone condescending. "Miss, this lounge is exclusively for verified jet passengers," he stated, ensuring the surrounding people could hear. He indicated her hoodie with a gesture, his smirk echoed by the nearby employees. "Rosebridge rarely permits such straightforwardness," he stated, which elicited laughter from those present. The group's acceptance felt overwhelming, their confidence a stark display. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes steady, but the lounge's disapproval felt oppressive. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing at this perceived injustice, their fury burning against the terminal's integrity. Claire remained silent, her eyes dry, her arms holding her backpack, a plain bag containing the book she's read on her flight, a gift for Noah. She was led to the isolation room, a cold space of glass and steel, its walls mirroring the lounge luxury. The door closed behind her, with Victor Hayes standing watch, his badge representing her confinement. The passengers' murmurs followed her, their lies a suffocating tide. "She's a con artist." Claire's hazel eyes remained steady, her composure a quiet blaze. The audience's rage peaked, their hearts breaking for Claire, their fury a fire ready to consume the terminal's sanctity. The passengers' cruelty peaked as they spread vicious rumors, their voices a venomous storm echoing through the lounge. A hedge fund manager in a $9,000 Loro Piana suit leaned forward, his voice loud and cutting. He suggested she was a fraud, possibly having secured her place in the lounge through bribery, his friends agreeing, their cufflinks gleaming. Her marriage was also fabricated, simply a narrative to deceive Sutton. Another declared, raising his voice, "She's a con artist. Noah has been tricked." Derisive laughter erupted, each statement a painful blow to Claire. Employees shared falsehoods, their accusations multiplying rapidly. She's after his wealth. Claire touched her backpack, maintaining a calm expression, though the group's malicious gossip felt overwhelming. The audience's anger surged, their feelings aligned with Claire, their outrage a powerful force seeking to expose the falsehoods of those in power. The sound of a jet engine broke the lounge's quiet atmosphere as a black Gulfstream G800 landed on the private runway, one of fewer than 20 such runways globally. The aircraft's polished exterior shone, its engines creating a loud noise that stopped the surrounding conversation. A VIP golf cart quickly moved towards the isolation zone, its tires squealing on the tarmac. Noah Sutton disembarked, his white shirt rolled up, his dark sunglasses glinting, projecting an aura of intensity. At 35, having grown up in Seattle, he had transformed Sutton Aerospace into a global empire, incorporating Rosebridge Jet Terminal through a corporate restructuring. He took off his sunglasses, revealing gray eyes as sharp as steel, and proceeded into the isolation room. "Why is my wife being held here?" His voice held no volume, yet it resonated with force. A wave of emotion rippled through the onlookers, their frustration giving way to expectation, Noah's revelation a beacon in the tension. Victor Hayes faltered, his official identification providing no protection. "I wasn't aware she—" Noah interrupted, his expression unwavering. "She has nothing to demonstrate. I am her confirmation of travel." The atmosphere became still, Vanessa Klein's Versace dress appearing deflated, her crimson lipstick a sharp contrast against her complexion. Noah opened the exit, approached Claire, and clasped her hand. "Are you weary?" he inquired, his voice gentle yet resolute. "The aircraft was prepared. Let's proceed." Claire smiled, her hazel eyes radiating warmth, her hoodie a subtle adornment. The travelers' cufflinks appeared less brilliant, their expressions strained with surprise. The crowd's sense of accomplishment grew, their hearts pounding as Noah's words altered the lounge's influence. Noah addressed the airport manager, his voice composed but firm. "I intended to maintain my stake in Rosebridge for an additional 2 years," he stated, "but today I have revised that decision." He hesitated, his gray eyes surveying the lounge. Detaining anyone for not wearing a suit in a gathering of those who believe themselves divine seemed inappropriate. Vanessa Klein recoiled, her Chanel perfume a sharp contrast to the situation. Noah's expression turned intense. "I'm not merely the largest investor in this airport, I possess 70% ownership of Rosebridge Jet Terminal." A chill permeated the lounge. The receptionist almost dropped her iPad, and the head of security paled. The audience erupted, their anger shifting to astonishment as Noah's actions began to dismantle the deception that had restricted Claire. The repercussions were swift, a judgment conveyed without a sound. Noah addressed Victor Hayes, his voice sharp and decisive. "You held the one I travel with," he stated. "Your time here is over, 5 minutes remaining." Victor's uniform seemed to shrink, his professional life collapsing. Noah then confronted Vanessa Klein, his gaze unwavering. "Your department's screening procedures? Discontinued. Access is permanently denied to all Sutton Group locations." Vanessa's Versace dress offered no protection. Her standing served as a warning. Noah addressed Clara Holt, the receptionist. "Your keycards have been disabled. Please clear your workspace." Clara appeared stunned, her role as gatekeeper now exposed. The onlookers' sense of disappointment shifted to jubilation, Claire's success affirmed by her husband's considerable influence. The isolation room felt dominated by Noah Sutton, his voice sharp and decisive, silencing the space enclosed by glass walls. "You dared to detain Claire Sutton, the only soul worthy of this terminal," he declared, his gray eyes radiating a controlled fury. "The validity of your badges, your protocols were irrelevant in the face of her truth." He presented a sleek tablet displaying a series of canceled agreements. Victor Hayes' security contracts, Vanessa Klein's management deals, and the staff's lounge privileges, all rescinded by Sutton Aerospace's board. "Your names are removed from global aviation," he announced, his eyes focused on Victor. "You have lost more than jobs, you have lost your futures." The audience reacted with shocked gasps, their empires collapsing under his direction. Claire stood beside him, her gray hoodie glowing, her triumph confirmed by Noah's consistent strength. The audience cheered, Their spirits lifted as his worldwide justice defeated the elite's pride. Noah's gaze turned to the woman who had spoken, her daughter standing close behind. "I heard you refer to her as a maid," he said, his voice slightly firm. "I'll demonstrate the power even a so-called maid can possess, sufficient to result in your permanent membership cancellation." He retrieved his phone, activated it with a single button, and issued the command. The memberships of all individuals in Lounge 1A from the previous 2 hours were to be terminated. No justification was required. The socialite's platinum card became invalid, her standing negated. The tech mogul, who had previously ridiculed Claire's backpack, was led away, his agreements rescinded. Those passengers who had laughed concealed their Rolexes, their power diminished. The observers felt their hearts pound, their anger evolving into pride, Claire's victory shining brightly and humbling the lounge's prominent members. The downfall of the elite was a spectacle, their arrogance shattered under Noah's command. Vanessa Klein stumbled back, her Versace dress a mockery, her reputation a cautionary tale among the staff. Victor Hayes' badge was confiscated, his decades of service null, his escorts pushing him toward the service exit. Clara Holt's gatekeeping empire plummeted, her scorn a public wound, her belongings scattered. The hedge fund manager's deals collapsed, his slander exposed his lies. Those who'd flicked pens concealed their cufflinks, their memberships revoked. The staff who'd sneered were dismissed, their careers terminated. The socialite who'd whispered faced ostracism, her reputation diminished. Claire stood tall, her sneakers a subtle symbol of triumph, her hazel eyes unwavering. The audience's hearts resonated with emotion, their anger shifting to admiration. Claire's victory and Noah's anger shook the world's wealthiest in the terminal's esteemed halls. The terminal's hierarchy collapsed under Noah's direction. A thorough review revealed its deep-seated flaws. He addressed the airport's operations chief, his tone sharp and direct amidst the lounge's lavish surroundings. "Your screening system is unacceptable," he stated, his gray eyes unwavering. "Every procedure that caused distress to my wife is nullified, effective immediately." He activated his phone, and a wave of alerts flooded the staff's devices. Contracts terminated, permissions removed, entire departments dissolved. The socialite's daughter wept, her mother's membership a relic of a fallen empire. The tech mogul's jet remained on the tarmac, his influence non-existent. The receptionist who had laughed was escorted out, her iPad now inactive. Claire stood beside Noah, her backpack a silent declaration of her truth, her victory a bright spot in the terminal's fading light. The audience's hearts lifted, their anger shifting to triumph. Noah's fury a powerful force that washed away Rosebridge's arrogance. The details of Claire's history remained unknown, whether to the staff, Vanessa, or the passengers. When she was 20, she had rebuilt aircraft engines while studying late into the night, using her earnings to pay for textbooks. At 25, she encountered Noah at an aerospace expo, her understated intelligence captivating him amidst a crowd of showy personalities. Their marriage, a private ceremony on a Maine cliff, was founded on love, not financial resources. Vanessa's perfume, the staff's keycards, the passengers' suits, held no comparison to the resilience embodied by the backpack Claire carried. She now stood within the terminal, her rubber band a reminder of her integrity, her silence a consuming fire that exposed their deceit. Claire entered the Gulf Stream, still wearing her hoodie, holding Noah's hand. Her reflection appeared on the terminal's glass wall, portraying a composed woman passing 2 rows of people with lowered heads. The aircraft moved ahead, its engines creating a visible display of strength, leaving the lounge hushed. The chandeliers decreased in brightness, the marble floors no longer echoing with dominance. Noah turned to Claire, his gray eyes filled with concern. "Are you all right?" She responded with a nod, her hazel eyes following the curve of his smile. As the jet ascended, the autumn light diminished, revealing a line of the world's wealthiest individuals seeking her approval, their gestures a quiet acknowledgement of their previous treatment of her. She had experienced deep shame even being held. Within the exclusive VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport, she appeared unassuming in an old hoodie and worn sneakers. Her appearance stood in stark contrast to the surroundings, a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum tier memberships. The revelation arrived with undeniable force, and it couldn't be ignored. Everyone involved understood a crucial lesson. True authority isn't defined by appearance. It's established by presence, and the impact will be immediate. If you enjoyed this narrative, please like, share, and subscribe for similar stories. We'd love to hear from you. If you were Claire, what actions would you take? She was removed from the graduation stage due to her attire: a simple white cotton dress, worn ballet flats, and a casually tied ponytail, an appearance that drew attention from those in attendance. "You are not on the speakers list. Please step down," stated the event organizer, the silence that followed as brittle as glass. No explanation was given. There was no public questioning of why Elise Carter, St. Morel's top student, was excluded from the final moment of recognition. Instead, quiet mockery rippled through the audience, unaware that daughters of janitors sometimes aspired to share a stage with those from established families. She descended, 1 foot at a time, moving past gazes filled with judgment. However, just then, the doors swung open, and her fiancé, heir to a billion-dollar empire, entered. Royal Lancaster Hall resembled a cathedral of privilege, its crystal chandeliers projecting prisms of light that shimmered across gilded walls and velvet-draped tables. The air was heavy with the fragrance of orchids and affluence, each guest a dazzling symbol of power. St. Morel Academy's graduation ceremony was far more than just an event. A coronation unfolded for the heirs of Forbes-listed dynasties. Diamond earrings shimmered on every ear, bespoke suits whispered with each movement, and the sound of champagne flutes resonated as a symbol of exclusivity. The students, adorned in silk-lined caps and gowns, were seated in rows of polished mahogany chairs, their futures seemingly predetermined and promising. A live-stream screen displayed the ceremony for those unable to purchase the $5,000 guest tickets, and among the viewers stood Maria Carter, Elise's mother, her hospital janitor scrubs concealed by a borrowed coat, her gaze fixed on her daughter's image. Elise entered, her white cotton dress a subtle rejection of the lavish surroundings. At 22, she was captivating, not with the refined appearance of her contemporaries, but with the natural beauty of someone who had rightfully earned her place. A low ponytail held back her dark hair, highlighting cheekbones and hazel eyes that conveyed warmth and determination. The gentle sound of her faded ballet flats accompanied her across the marble floor, her steps sure despite the challenge of 1,000 stairs. She was the scholarship student, raised by a single mother who cleaned hospital floors to ensure they could pay their rent. Exceptionally intelligent and persistent, she had earned a place among the best at St. Morel's, only to face criticism for the circumstance of her background. The lack of her mother in the hall felt like a hidden pain, as she was aware Maria observed from the chilly street beyond. When Elise settled into her place, the hall's prominent figures initiated a digital attack. Mobile phones illuminated, students rapidly typing, their social media updates a public shaming. Charity case crashes, one wrote, highlighting Elise's worn shoes. Mother posted, St. Morel's biggest mistake, allowing a cleaner's child to attend. The live stream discussion became filled with harsh comments. She's a fraud, and kick her out, peered frequently. Sophia Lyle, a girl in a sapphire gown, stood, her voice audible to Maria outside. Reports indicated her dress was trending as the worst fashion choice of the year. The hall erupted in laughter, a cruel sound, with phones raised as if to attack Elise. She remained still, her hazel eyes focused ahead, though her fingers lightly touched her plaque, revealing a slight tremor that contradicted her composure. Maria's expression on the live stream was one of suffering, each online post feeling like an insult to her honor. The audience's anger intensified, fueled by their outrage at the mob's actions, attention poised to explode. Ethan Caldwell, a large senior and inheritor of a tech empire, rose from his seat, his substantial build looming over Elise as she remained seated. "You're occupying space you have no right to," he stated, his voice resonating throughout the diamond section. He approached, the sound of his loafers striking the marble floor, his Rolex catching the light as he gestured towards her. "That dress is disrespectful to this hall. Leave before we force you to." A hush fell over the crowd, an unspoken sense of danger palpable as phones were raised to document the scene. Ethan moved closer, his breath warm with champagne, his fingertip hovering near Elisa's face. Your mom scrubs floors, for people like us. Know your place. A scattering of students offered encouragement, their voices keen and insistent. Elisa's hands remained clasped, her hazel eyes locked with his, unwavering despite the visible pulse in her neck. A palpable tension filled the air, her silence a delicate defense against his threat, and the audience's anger swelled, yearning for her to be saved. The hall seemed to sway as Elise took her place in the diamond section, designated for the privileged. Murmurs cut through the atmosphere. Wait, are they renting out diamond seats by the hour now? Scoffed a boy in a tailored tuxedo, his cufflinks gleaming. A girl standing close by, her gown adorned with Swarovski crystals, bent forward. It was evident she had entered without permission. The absence of anyone accompanying her was noticeable. Her voice, measured and harsh, resonated, prompting laughter from those seated nearby. Elisa's hands remained still in her lap, her expression calm. She had endured more difficult experiences during her 4 years at St. Morel, including classmates ridiculing her thrift store clothing and professors doubting her suitability for leadership. However, today was meant to be different. It was her graduation day. Natalie Harrington, daughter of a global fashion empire, was positioned 3 rows ahead, her blonde hair falling in flawless waves, and her emerald gown a $20,000 creation. She glanced back, her blue eyes assessing Elise from head to toe, and remarked, loud enough for the entire section to hear, St. Morel really needs to reevaluate its scholarship standards. She continued, we can't have commoners ruining the visual harmony. Amusement spread through the section as heads turned to observe Elisa's simple dress. A young boy close by called out, asking what's next, and suggesting her mom scrub the stage. The hall was filled with murmurs, the taunting palpable and sustained by Elisa's quietness. She didn't react. Her hazel eyes remained focused on the stage, though her fingers briefly clenched, revealing a momentary strain beneath her composure. A professor, Dr. Evelyn Tate, stood from the faculty row, her silk shawl shifting as she addressed the hall with a condescending smile. Miss Carter's attendance here was generous, but misplaced, she stated, her voice conveying insincere sympathy. St. Morel is intended for individuals destined for leadership, not those who fulfill supporting roles, she indicated, gesturing toward Elise, her diamond ring catching the light. Your scholastic achievements are noteworthy, but leadership demands heritage, not benevolence. The audience expressed agreement with quiet sounds and applause, their sense of privilege forming a barrier around Elise. Perhaps a vocational school would be a more appropriate fit for you, Tate observed, her words carefully chosen to inflict pain. Elise held the plaque in her lap, her hands still, though her hazel eyes betrayed a hidden sorrow. Outside, Maria's hands tightened as the live stream broadcast Tate's dismissive remarks, her daughter's aspirations ridiculed by those who should have supported her. The audience's anger swelled, their outrage at this violation of trust by those in power a searing pain. Natalie Harrington moved closer, her emerald gown reflecting the chandelier's glow, her voice sharp and controlled. She observed her, believing she could occupy our position. She stated, her voice clear enough for the live stream to record each word. She stood, indicating Elisa's dress with a gesture, her carefully shaped nails catching the light. That garment is suited for a laundry basket, not St. Morel's stage. And those flats, she continued, I wouldn't wear them to walk my dog. The hall erupted in laughter, students applauding, their amusement a public humiliation. A student yelled, send her back to the hospital to mop floors. Natalie's smile broadened, her gaze fixed on Elise. Your mother's a cleaner, and you're just her shadow leeching off our prestige, she hissed, her words intended to inflict pain. Elisa's plaque trembled in her hands, her knuckles whitening, but her face remained composed, a barrier against the attack. The live stream outside showed Maria's face falling, the crowd's harshness a blow to her heart, and the audience grew increasingly agitated, their anger threatening to erupt. The ceremony commenced, the dean's voice resonating through the hall, commending the prospective leaders of the world. Elisa's name was announced for the valedictorian award, her flawless GPA a testament to her exceptional intellect. As she stood, the whispers intensified. She, valedictorian? Questioned a girl adorned with pearls. It must have been achieved through dishonest means. Elise proceeded to the stage, her movements deliberate, her dress reflecting the chandelier's illumination. The applause was subdued, overshadowed by expressions of disapproval. She received her plaque, her smile subtle yet firm, and returned to her seat, the feeling of their assessment feeling more significant than the award she held. A cluster of students close to Elise's seat rose, spearheaded by Julian Pierce, a banking heir whose smirk matched the precision of his suit. "Let's make her feel welcomed," he announced, throwing a discarded napkin toward her. "Pick it up, cleaner's kid," others echoed, adding straws and programs, creating a mess around her. "This is your level, Elise," Julian sneered, his voice audible on the live stream. Laughter erupted from the audience, with some yelling, "Sweep the stage next." The scattered debris created a mortifying backdrop around Elise's chair. She remained composed, her cotton dress a symbol of resistance, though her fingers tightened around her plaque, her knuckles bone white. Maria's expression on the live stream conveyed intense distress, each object thrown a painful blow to her daughter's sense of worth. The crowd's anger escalated, their hearts racing, yearning for the mistreatment to stop, for Elise to transcend the crowd's harshness. Claire Voss, a media heiress, her diamond choker catching the light, rose to her feet, her voice cutting and dramatic. "This is mortifying for everyone," she announced, speaking to the hall with regal authority. "Does Elise believe she can be valedictorian in that second-hand dress?" She indicated Elise, her bracelet chiming, a cruel smile playing on her lips. "You're someone who received charity and got fortunate. You are not welcome on this stage." The audience exploded in uproar, students yelling, "Go back to the slums. And she's ruining the aesthetic." Claire lifted a hand, quieting them, her gaze fixed intensely on Elise. "Your mother is insignificant, and you are even less," she stated, her words deliberate and sharp. "Depart before you escalate the situation." Mobile phones illuminated the scene, capturing Elise's composure, her cotton dress becoming a focal point of their derision. Maria gripped her phone, the live stream showing her daughter's distress. While the audience's frustration grew, their sympathy focused on Elise's honor. When the student speeches were to be presented, Elise's name was scheduled to begin. She had dedicated weeks to writing her speech, a recognition of strength, and a tribute to her mother's sacrifices. As she stood, her heart calm, she moved towards the stage, still holding the plaque. A coordinator, a wiry woman wearing a black blazer, blocked her way, holding a clipboard as if it were a shield. "I'm sorry, you're not on the official list of speakers. Please step down," she stated, her voice cold and amplified by the microphone attached to her lapel. The hall fell silent, all eyes fixed on Elise. The coordinator's lips moved slightly, seemingly pleased by the situation. Elise hesitated, her breath momentarily suspended, but her expression remained calm. Ms. Langley, the coordinator, approached Elise, who stood motionless on the stage, her clipboard held high. "Did you hear me, Miss Carter?" she inquired, her voice laced with disapproval and amplified through the microphone. "You will not be speaking today. You are not part of this group." She then faced the audience, offering a strained smile, seemingly seeking their agreement. "We uphold certain standards at St. Morel, and this," she indicated Elise's dress, "does not meet them." The hall erupted in laughter, a sound like a tidal wave, with students clapping as if at a show. "Perhaps you could assist your mother with the cleanup," Langley remarked, her words pointed. Elise's plaque vibrated in her hands, her hazel eyes flashing with pain, but she remained silent. The live stream displayed Maria's face, tears flowing, the crowd's harshness a public dismantling of her daughter's aspirations. The viewers' anger intensified, their hearts racing, hoping Elise would withstand this final setback. A murmur arose, spreading quickly. "She's poor," a boy in the front row whispered, his voice audible to those watching the live stream. "Sad, but appropriate," a girl added, her diamond bracelet flashing as she chuckled. Natalie shifted, her expression growing more knowing, her hand lightly touching her dress, as if disregarding the unfolding situation. She had planned this, dedicating hours to influencing the event committee, making sure Elisa's name was removed from the speakers. This was her last offering to the beneficiary who had the audacity to overshadow her. The hall's laughter amplified, a collective expression of derision, each syllable a missile aimed at Elisa's reputation. Outside, Maria held her phone, her complexion ashen, the live stream displaying her daughter's embarrassment for all to see. Elise remained motionless, her fingers subtly shaking around the plaque. The coordinator indicated the staircase, her urgency noticeable. "Please proceed, Ms. Carter," she stated, her voice clear enough for the rear sections to hear. The hall seemed to anticipate Elisa's faltering, her tears, her demonstration of inadequacy. However, Elise remained composed. She raised her head, her hazel eyes surveyed the room, and she spoke, her voice firm and unwavering, piercing the surrounding sounds like a sharp instrument. "Thank you for revealing who genuinely belongs in this place." The words were gentle, yet they held a significance that momentarily hushed the murmurs. She then turned, her footsteps silent on the marble, and started to walk away from the stage, her head held high, her dignity a protection against their harshness. As Elise began to leave the stage, Natalie stood up again, her emerald gown a beacon of spite. "This is why we don't associate with the staff," she announced, her voice sharp and clear through the hall. "Elise, you're a stain on St." The impact of Morel's legacy was palpable. A harsh judgment fell, "Your mother's a failure, and you're her echo," accompanied by a gesture towards the live stream screen, acknowledging Maria's viewership. "Go join her outside where you both belong." The audience responded with cheers, their applause seeming to mock Elisa's distress, as phones documented her every movement. "No one wants you here," Natalie added, her smile laced with malice. Elisa's flats made a soft sound on the marble floor, her plaque clutch held firmly, her hazel eyes reflecting a quiet determination. Maria's sobs resonated through the live stream, the crowd's harshness a public dismantling of her daughter's aspirations. The audience's anger boomed, their spirits saddened, hoping Elise would withstand this ultimate setback. The hall's derision intensified as she walked down the steps. "Back to the slums," cried a boy, his voice lost in the laughter. A girl threw a crumpled program at Elisa's feet, saying, "Pick it up, janitors, kid." The paper slid across the floor, brushing Elisa's flats, but she didn't stop. Her steps were even, her face serene, but the audience outside, Maria's audience, felt each insult as a physical blow. Maria's hands shook, tears streaked her face, but she didn't avert her gaze from the screen. Elise was her daughter, her pride, and they were dismantling her for entertainment. The hall's laughter was a storm, unrelenting, each remark a wound no one could see but everyone could feel. Natalie stood, her emerald gown shimmering, her voice ringing out. "Let's acknowledge her effort with applause," she stated, clapping deliberately and with a hint of sarcasm. The auditorium responded, the sound echoing emptily, a distorted imitation of reverence. "Perhaps she could present at the community college next," Natalie remarked, her smile sharp. The laughter intensified, phones lighting up as students documented Elisa's departure, their captions already being composed. "Scholarship girl falters." Elisa's form diminished against the stage's light, her cotton dress a striking difference from the radiant audience. She felt isolated and vulnerable, her opportunity taken by individuals unfamiliar with hardship. The audience's frustration was palpable, their emotions aligned with Elise, hoping she would retaliate. Suddenly, the doors opened and all movement ceased. Security cleared a path, their dark suits creating a sharp contrast to the hall's grandeur. Bright light flooded the space, highlighting a person in a gray suit and black tie. Noah Grayson, only successor to Grayson Industries, entered the room. At 24, he possessed a striking presence. Tall and lean, with dark hair swept back and eyes like carved steel, sharp enough to cut through lies. His presence was electric and commanding, the kind that silenced a room without a word. He had built Grayson Industries' renewable energy arm into a $50 billion empire, and his name was whispered in boardrooms from Tokyo to New York. But to Elise, he was simply Noah, the man who'd fallen for her mind, her heart, and her quiet strength. Noah approached Elise, his movements purposeful, his eyes fixed on her. The hall seemed to pause, the sound of laughter fading. He extended his hand, his touch gentle yet steady, halting her progress. "You're not going anywhere," he stated, his voice quiet but strong, audible throughout the hall. "This is a ceremony of honor, and you're the only one here who genuinely deserves it." Elisa's eyes relaxed, a subtle smile gracing her lips. However, she remained silent, her lack of words more impactful than any declaration. Noah's hand remained on hers, his touch conveying a promise, a protection from the atmosphere of the room. He addressed the event organizers, his steady gaze focusing on the coordinator, who visibly recoiled. "I've been the primary sponsor of St. Moral for 3 years," Noah stated, his voice calm yet resolute, each word carrying significant weight. "This hall's construction, the scholarships you receive, and the continuation of your legacy were all made possible by my family's contributions. However, I am formally withdrawing all future funding unless Elise Carter is invited back onto that stage. Immediately." The event coordinator's clipboard visibly shook, and her complexion drained. The dean, positioned at the front, rose to speak, but Noah's intense look stopped him. The hall felt like a silent chamber, with every attendee motionless, their earlier confidence dissipating under Noah's control. Noah's gaze moved to Natalie, who appeared stiff, her smile vanished, her hands tightly holding her dress. "Natalie Harrington," he stated, his voice sharp and clear, "you sent me 27 messages over the last 4 months, requesting a meeting, a partnership, an opportunity to be at my family's table. Don't believe I was unaware that you altered the speaker list today." A sudden commotion filled the room, eliciting gasps and murmurs as heads turned to Natalie. Her face was flushed, and her eyes moved quickly, desperately seeking an escape route. "You believed you could remove Elisa's name," Noah stated, his voice cold, "but you have only damaged your own reputation." Natalie's chair scraped against the floor as she rose, her voice shaking. "That is not accurate," she insisted, but the attention of the hall was now focused on her, scrutinizing, disapproving. The coordinator spoke quietly to the dean, who responded with a somber nod. Security advanced towards Natalie, their footsteps echoing on the marble. "Ms. Harrington, you're needed at the disciplinary board," one stated, his voice resolute. Natalie's gown snagged on her chair as she lost her balance, her heels striking the floor in a defeated rhythm. The hall remained silent as she was led away, her sphere of power diminishing with each step. Noah's voice resonated, a commanding presence that quelled the hall's whispers. He stated that this wasn't solely Natalie's responsibility, his gaze sharp as he surveyed the audience, identifying those involved. "I possess evidence, emails, texts, and witness testimonies, demonstrating a planned effort to remove Elise from the speaker list." He retrieved a tablet from his suit, its screen illuminating with information. "Claire Voss, you provided a bribe of $50,000 to the event committee to modify the list. Ethan Caldwell, you disseminated rumors regarding Elisa's alleged academic dishonesty to damage her GPA reputation. Ms. Langley, it is known that you enforced the altered list for a promotion." A collective gasp rippled through the room, with heads turning towards the accused, their faces visibly paling. Grayson Industries is initiating an investigation, and individuals implicated will confront legal repercussions, Noah announced. Elisa's reputation is paramount. The hall's silence was palpable, those found wanting visibly retracting under his scrutiny, and the audience erupted in applause, their spirits lifting as justice prevailed. Dean Dr. Harold Vance approached the podium, his face pale, his voice wavering under Noah's intense look. "St. Morel has let down its most promising student," he announced, his words transmitted to the live stream. "Elise Carter's exclusion was a planned action, and we acknowledge complete responsibility." He addressed the faculty, specifically mentioning Dr. Tate. "Your comments were inappropriate, and you are suspended while a review takes place." He then spoke to the students, his voice resolute. "An investigation into harassment is underway concerning Julian Pierce and Sophia Lyle. Expulsion is a possible consequence." A collective gasp rippled through the room as the accused visibly recoiled, their confidence diminishing. "Ms. Langley, your involvement in this sabotage concludes your time here," Vance announced. The silence in the hall felt like a judgment, while the live-stream audience expressed their approval as events transpired. Elise remained composed, her cotton dress appearing radiant, embodying a sense of grace. A wave of emotion swept through the audience, the hall's appearance a clear sign of her victory. An outside livestream showed her leaving, the audience applauding Elise's validation. Elise returned to the stage, her cotton dress shimmering beneath the chandeliers, still holding her plaque. The hall was quiet now, everyone's heads lowered, the previous ridicule now replaced with regret. She approached the podium, her hazel eyes scanning the room, her voice calm and resolute. This moment wasn't hers alone, she stated, her words gentle but impactful. It was for her mother, who had instructed her that diligence surpasses riches. It was for each student informed they don't belong. The applause commenced, initially subdued, then growing, a wave of esteem. Elise didn't revel in it, she didn't require it. Her silence had conveyed volumes, her dignity had prevailed. Elise approached the podium, her presence a restrained power that transformed the hall. I stand here not for myself, but for every voice silenced by wealth, she stated, her voice clear, resonating with unwavering strength. My mother taught me that honor isn't bought, it's earned. This scholarship in my name will ensure no student is judged for their background. She raised her plaque, its gold a symbol of her triumph, and faced the audience. St. Morel will change or it will fall, I choose change. The applause erupted, students and guests standing, their earlier scorn replaced by reverence. Noah's eyes shone with pride, his hand brushing hers, a silent vow. On the live stream, Maria's face glowed, the crowd chanting, Elise, Elise. The chandeliers above seemed to blaze, reflecting a legacy forged in truth. The audience's hearts thundered, Elise's words a clarion call, her triumph a light that would burn forever. The ceremony continued, but the atmosphere had changed. Noah took a seat beside Elise, his hand brushing hers, a quiet promise of forever. The dean announced new honors. Maria Carter, Elise's mother, received the Inspiration of the Year award, her name appearing on the live stream screen. Maria's tears shifted to a smile as the crowd outside cheered with pride. Grayson Industries announced a $10 million scholarship in Elise's name for students demonstrating leadership potential from low-income families. The audience responded with applause, but Elise's gaze was fixed on Noah, her heart brimming, her triumph achieved. Standing at the podium, Elise experienced a profound silence that highlighted her victory. This moment isn't solely for my benefit, she stated, her voice firm, carrying a strength that impressed those present. It's for my mother, who worked nights to provide me with an opportunity. It's for every student who has been told their aspirations are too modest. She displayed her plaque, its gold gleaming in the light, and continued, Grayson Industries' leadership in my name will create openings for others similar to me, and I'll ensure St. Morel never forgets the meaning of honor. The applause resonated, students and guests rising, their previous disapproval now replaced by wonder. Noah stood beside her, his hand on hers, his pride a silent strength. Outside, Maria's face was illuminated on the live stream, the crowd chanting Elise's name. The hall's chandeliers appeared to shine more brilliantly, mirroring a fresh legacy, one founded on truth, not wealth. The audience's hearts expanded, Elise's victory a symbol of justice destined to resonate beyond these walls. Following the ceremony's conclusion, Noah and Elise emerged, the spring air cool against their skin. He held a small velvet box, a diamond ring glittering in the sunlight. Turning to Elise Carter, he spoke, his voice gentle, intended only for her. You're my home, my truth. Will you marry me? Her smile was radiant, her nod immediate. The crowd outside erupted, Maria rushing to embrace them, her scrubs a badge of honor. Elise and Noah stood together, their hands entwined, their future a beacon of hope. Natalie faced a brief disciplinary hearing, resulting in expulsion for altering the honors list. Her family's reputation suffered. The live stream gained global popularity, elevating Elise and dominating social media, her narrative embodying resilience. St. Morel's reputation evolved, its influence expanding, its character transformed by a girl in a cotton dress. Elise needed no adornments. She represented hope. Like share, and subscribe for more narratives such as this, and let us know in the comments, who would you have applauded?